more affordable for, and of course, around the holiday season, things are more affordable for Americans today than they were last year. Yeah, I mean, hey, you can sit there and say affordability's gotten just a little bit better, but no, we're not out of the ballpark yet, of course. But it like the way the Dems were doomsdaying it, pretty much saying, "Oh, like what about the holidays and the price of dolls and all this crazy stuff?" Well, no matter we're here at the holidays, it doesn't look like that seems to be a problem.
This weekend between
Actually, we're buying more than we were last year.
Black Friday and Cyber Monday, woo! 187 million Americans either shopping online or in person. I must admit, I am not necessarily one to be shopping in person. I like to avoid the crowds. That's what I like to do. That's why I'm a much bigger fan of Cyber Monday than I am of Black Friday. I prefer to spend my weekends at home or maybe going to a nice little luncheonette. But this 187 million is 3 million more than we had last year. Again, record numbers shopping this weekend. Of course, it's not all good news when it comes to the economy, Jessica, because we're in a bit of a K-shape, right? Whereby the top of the economic spectrum seems to be going along as if everything is normal, nice, fantastic, while those on the lower rung facing tougher times. And we see that when it comes to shopping this holiday season. Expected holiday shopping in terms of money versus 2024 by household income. You can see that this is a real economic divide in terms of how much folks are expecting to spend this year versus last year when it comes to shopping during the holiday season. If you make less than $50,000 in your household income, the expected amount to be spent down 16% versus a year ago. You jump to the middle rung, 50 to 100,000, again, down, but by less. Down 6%. Look at those making at least $100,000 in terms of their household income. It's actually up. It's up about 5%, or at least the expected amount versus last year. Again, illustrative of this K-shaped economy whereby the wealthier folks are spending as if nothing is wrong, spending as if times are good, while those on the lower rung of the economic spectrum not seeing the good times nearly as much. In fact, seeing some bad times in a number of cases. Of course, this is not the only sign that the economy is perhaps not as strong as some might necessarily want. Of course, this holiday season, if you're going to be buying something, you might be putting it on your credit card. And we're seeing some potentially troubling numbers when it comes to that credit card debt. What are we talking about here? Well, let's take a look at credit card balance that's 90 days or more late. 90 days or more late. We're talking about the highest percentage since the Great Recession. You know, you go back to quarter three of 2022, 3 years ago, 7.6% of all credit card balances were 90 days or more late in terms of their payment. You jump over now, look at this. This percentage has really climbed in quarter three of 2025, which of course is last quarter. We're talking about 12.4%. That is a significant rise, Jessica. I think the question is, will this percentage become worse during the holiday season? We've obviously seen that those who earn less are cutting back on their spending, expecting to cut back on their spending. Of course, there are plenty wealthier people who also have big.
I like what they did there. So they pretty much saying that, yeah, consumerism is up. So consumerism is up for the holidays, but he's breaking it down like, well, but it's mostly the households that are making over 100K that are actually, making up this huge spending increase from last year. And he's also stating that, people might actually just be going into debt more on their credit cards because, back in 2022 in quarter three, 7.6%. Now it's at 12, which is damn near double.
Card debts as well. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But this to me is a troublesome sign. Folks spending money that they simply put do not have. And we're seeing it at a higher percentage since the Great Recession.
Yep. Do not have or haven't made yet.
Hopefully,
Lord knows that's a slippery spiral.
We'll have some better news on the economy going forward. But for now, Jessica Dean, this is all I got for you.
And 'tis the season for holiday shopping. Americans say they're nervous about the economy, particularly about higher prices in a weak job market, but many retail experts are forecasting hearty sales growth. MasterCard pegs the spending growth at about 3.6% for the year. Joining us now, Heatha Herzog, retail and consumer spending expert at her own firm, H Squared. Heatha, great.
Oh yeah, it looks like as far as Americans going out there and shopping, it's all good on that. It's all good. So there's a little bit of good news. Americans are actually going out there buying toys for their loved ones, children, and all that good stuff. Of course, parents. It's all good in the hood so far, or it's all good in the consumer market for now. But all right, now let's go to a bit of more of a doomsday scenario. Because Time to talk about AI. Time to talk about AI and how these companies are trying to replace all the jobs with AI. And if they don't figure out some way to either have AI work alongside us where it don't take our job or invoke a universal income, then yes, tech billionaires' heads will be on sticks. I mean, no, that's what's gonna happen. No, people are gonna start taking to the street. They're gonna go towards the White House because they let this happen, and heads will be put on sticks. Now I know the Dems are going like, "Ooh, I can't wait for that," but we're over here just like, we don't want that to happen." Like, bro, that's a bad situation.
Oh shit! Oh shit! AI is no longer an abstract threat. It's causing job loss right now, and the headlines, they tell the story. The Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, on Wednesday released a study that found that artificial intelligence can already replace 11.7% of the US labor market,
Facts.
or as much as 1.2 trillion in wages across finance, healthcare, and professional services. The New York Times recently reported that Amazon is on the cusp of replacing what would be 600,000 warehouse jobs with robots and plans to automate 75% of its operations. CNBC reporting that Salesforce, Walmart, Paramount, UPS, YouTube, and Meta have all announced new rounds of layoffs attributable to AI, with nearly 1 million job cuts nationwide this year. That's the job loss that we can measure. Now consider what some are predicting about the future. Goldman Sachs estimating that 6 to 7% of the U.S. workforce could be displaced due to AI adoption. They do note, however, that the impact may only be transitory because new opportunities.
Hey, shout out to Levin Playing Field for sending a thumbs up for 10 joules. Appreciate the support.
Created by AI might ultimately put people to work in other capacities. A report by the McKinsey Global Institute finding that AI could displace 40% of American jobs due to automation by 2030. That analysis found that robots and AI agents could automate more than half of U.S. work.
See, and I mean, this is where me and my man Monty will somewhat disagree. Like, because I would love to sit there and believe that, we're about to head towards this socialist utopia with AI, but it's looking like we're heading more towards the corporate utopia that the elitists want, and not the socialist utopia that would be best for us. So yeah, it looks like AI is actually going to push us more towards in that direction. And if that happens, like I said, it'd be pretty stupid of the tech oligarchs to let that happen, because I think they honestly underestimate people's fighting ability. And if you take all the jobs, you tell them, well, AI can do your job, and oh well, we're not going to give you anything for it. We're not going to do anything for you. Then yes, there'll be mass uprising. So, and here's the problem with AI. I mean, out of all the things they could have came up with, they had to come up with something, or they had to excel the advancement of something that could take our jobs. I mean, we could have had unlimited energy. We could have had water powered engines. I mean, we could have had a lot more technology. We could have had wireless effing energy, but no, we had to pick the one thing that could take people's jobs.
Hours, both manual and cognitive, using technology that's available today if companies redesign how they'll do things in the future. The World Economic Forum projecting that 92 million jobs worldwide may be displaced by 2030. Ford's CEO saying that AI could replace half of all white-collar workers there. NYU professor Scott Galloway predicting that AI will hit middle management first, noting that 6% dropped in managers at public companies since 2022. So here we are, AI eliminating jobs, more automation coming. If millions of people lose work, how will they support themselves? This is where an idea from the 2020 presidential campaign returns to the conversation. Universal Basic Income, or UBI.
Yep.
The concept pretty straightforward. Every American adult would receive a set check each month. For Cook County, Illinois.
And how much would that be, though? Like, how much would a universal income be? Like, at least everybody got to be getting paid maybe like middle six figures, like $250K for every person in America, or every adult in America. Maybe have to be every person, you never know. But for every person in America, because, well, AI is taking all the jobs. And what are Americans going to work if only the tech oligarchs are making money? And how is that going to work out? Like, what are we going to do? What you going to do? Just start like, honestly, I mean, they just could start eliminating people, but I mean, never know how that's going to go. But yeah, that's why I say that it's going to cause an uprising, and there's going to be people taking the streets looking for the heads of tech leaders. Why? Because, and here's the thing, they're going to look for the heads of government officials too, because they let this happen. Unless they find a way for us to work alongside AI to where it don't take jobs, this is going to cause major problems. And I'm all for AI. I like AI. I use AI, but I also see the dangers of it as well.
Which includes Chicago, this concept just became reality. The Cook County Board of Commissioners unanimously approved its 2026 budget proposal just this month. It includes $7.5 million for a guaranteed basic income program. Commissioners approved it after the success of a pilot program where the county provided $500 a month to 3,200
Keep their head.
households over 2 years. Survey findings based on that pilot revealed that 94% of the program recipients used the funds to address financial emergencies. 75% reported feeling more financially secure. 70% said that the program had a positive impact on mental health. Of course, there's the question of how do you pay for it?
All right, so he's pretty much saying when Cook County sent out like $500 as a universal income, 90% of funds used for, I mean, if you're getting $500 a month as just universal income, I mean, yeah, that would help anybody towards a bill or so, depending on how expensive your lifestyle is. But let's see, 75% report feeling more financially secure with an extra 500 in their pocket. I'm pretty sure they did. 70% said program had a positive impact on mental health. I mean, yeah, if you want, some people spend all their income on, living, they'll damn near left with $0 and then get extra 500 for whatever you want. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's gonna make people feel good.
Had a positive impact on mental health. Of course, there's the question
And this ain't a spew for socialism, but I mean, if AI is gonna be the way, then we got to start thinking about it.
of how do you pay for it? In the case of Cook County, as a result of the decrease in commercial real estate values, everybody's property taxes are now sky high. In Chicago, rising 16.7%, the largest jump in at least 30 years. West Garfield Park saw an increase of 133%, North Lawndale 99%.
I love it because that's just the problem in these blue states or these blue counties and in these blue cities as well. For some reason, it's always more expensive. For some reason, it's tax, 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 tax. And it's kind of funny how they'll sit there and brag about, oh, we generate all this revenue. You know that you guys do that because your leadership tax you the most. Like, if you really think about it, it's not really a flex to be the highest producing tax country or have the highest tax revenue, because all that proves is that your country, or not that your state, your city is taxing you more than red states and red cities. That's all you're proving. Like, the tax revenue comes from the fact that they're taxing you more. You know that, right? I hope so. So you guys sit there and brag about, oh, well, we pulling more tax revenue. That's not a flex. That's one of the reasons why things are more expensive in y'all areas.
Englewood, 82.5%. And there's pushback from the Illinois Policy Institute, which cites concerns about workforce and income effects. Quote, Cook County is making its guaranteed income pilot permanent and committing millions to a failed strategy already shown to leave people with less work experience and lower earnings. Back in 2020, it was presidential candidate Andrew Yang who called his version of universal basic income the freedom dividend, specifically $1,000 per month, no work requirements, no means testing, a direct payment to help people cover bills, weather economic transitions, and adapt to a job market reshaped by technology. Andrew Yang joins me now. Andrew, nice to have you back. I pulled a profile of you from 2018 when you were just on the cusp of announcing your candidacy. Here's a quote that you provided to the author of the piece. You said, "Need is self-driving cars to destabilize society. In a few years, we're going to have 1 million truck drivers out of work who are 94% male with an average level of education of high school or."
And what you think those guys are going to do? Yeah, that's all you need. I said, too, the self-driving cars was going to destabilize society. I remember, like, downvoting one of Elon's tweet going like, bro, you're tripping with these trying to promote driveless cars, because all you're going to do is destabilize society with that bullshit. And yeah, and he's like he said, all you need is self-driving cars to destabilize society. In a few years, there's going to be millions of truck drivers out in the street wondering, well, what are we going to do? And what are you going to, you can't just tell them to go learn and code because AI doing that too. So where's the excuse now?
1 year of college, that one innovation will be enough to create riots in the street. And we're about to do the same thing to retail workers, call center workers, fast food workers, insurance companies, and accounting firms. It was 7 years ago. How is that quote aging?
It's aging very, very well, unfortunately, Michael. I'm so glad that we're having this conversation. 44% of American jobs are either repetitive manual or repetitive cognitive, and thus could be subject to AI and automation, and we're seeing that unfold right now.
Oh, guys, let's make sure to double tap that screen and like the video and hit my icon up there at the top to subscribe to the channel, guys. Appreciate the support.
It's heartbreaking for me because I feel we could be doing much, much more for the millions of Americans who are going to be displaced.
I know that Cook County is just a microcosm, but I'm sure in hearing about their experience, people are wondering, okay, Andrew Yang, we're on board. Now we get it. What you saw 7 years ago, the rest of us see, but how do we pay for it?
The CEO of Anthropic, Dario Amodei, just raised his hand and said, you guys should tax us, the AI firms. And right now, hundreds of billions of dollars of value is being realized by Anthropic and these other firms on the back, by the way, of data that we all provided unwittingly and didn't agree to it. But it's trillions of dollars of value.
Oh, and shout out to my man Josh for sending the Sunday for 100 jewels. Appreciate the support, Josh.
And most Americans aren't going to see a dime of that. So if you have the CEO of an AI company saying you should tax us, I think we should take him up on his suggestion.
Facts.
And if you have an AI tax or a compute tax,
I mean, all the profit they're going to be making from the work that they're taking, they should be able to, afford a universal healthcare tax. I mean, it's only fair. Am I wrong? Of course I'm not. Well, not in this regard. I feel like both sides agree with me on this one. I mean, if you're going to be taking all these jobs, Amazon, then maybe you should pay universal income tax that's going to go towards Americans, since you guys want to take all these jobs. If you don't want to pay that, if you feel like paying that universal tax for AI is too much, then you might want to go back to regular labor. We're going to have to make them make a choice on this one: universal income or regular labor. Or you find a way to make these robots or AI work alongside humans or the workers, and then we'll go from there, and don't cut their pay as well. I mean, hey, right now it sounds like universal income might be the best bet for these guys. And if the AI companies are saying, yo, just charge us, at least they're being reasonable.
Very big numbers very quickly.
So they're now referring to the Magnificent Seven, or the S&P 493 instead of the S&P 500. Put a graph on the screen.
Oh, guys, we are $70 away from going ahead and open up the call-in line, and I'm gonna go ahead and run conspiracy hour later on for you guys, because I didn't do it last night. So I got you guys tonight. But we're 70 away from opening up the call-in line. So appreciate support, guys.
Right now, for the benefit of everybody at home, the Washington Post had this coverage. The point was that if you strip out Alphabet, Amazon, Apple, Meta, Microsoft, Nvidia, and Tesla, then the market's doing okay, but the market surely isn't doing what it's doing when you include those seven. And I guess my question for Andrew Yang is, what happens if that is a bubble and it bursts? Then how do you fund the freedom dividend or universal basic income?
Well, right now, a lot of the value that's getting
well, if AI is handling all labor and they're generating enough profit for universal income, it's going to be a bubble that never pops. Like, there you go. I mean, that's still going to be a way to solidify themselves. They're going to be a bubble that never pops if they're taking up all the labor and they're paying universal income for it. At that point, I mean, Monty would be right. We're just gonna have to go to our passions and make money off that, because there ain't gonna be no use in working. We're getting paid not to work. If after that, you just, I don't know, either live your life or chase your passions.
Generated is being hoarded or held by a handful of companies.
But I'm pretty sure the universal income, the way they'll frame it, maybe is not going to be a way to make you like just, oh, you're like 6 figures. You probably make like high 5 figures to live your life.
Companies.
Probably, and the worst part about it, I mean, the worst part is they could be devious about it and give you just enough to survive, just enough. Nothing too extravagant, but just enough to survive. You'll be able to have, your nice little apartment. You'll be able to eat. That's about it. Any vacations? Nah, they ain't covering that. Family? Nah, they ain't covering that.
Michael, I think you're right that we should be trying to spread those value gains more broadly across the market and to people.
I appreciate that, Josh.
Right now, US GDP is around $85,000 per person and trending upward, because regardless of whether AI as an investment thesis is a little bit overhyped, that it's going to have a positive effect on GDP. So if you have 85,000 ahead, then having $12,000 a year, which I proposed in 2020, actually seems pretty modest and reasonable. And that's going to be affordable.
Wait, how much did you propose? 100,000?
That it's going to have a positive effect on GDP. So if you have 85,000 ahead, then having $12,000 a year, which I proposed in 2020, actually seems pretty modest and reasonable. And that's going to be affordable regardless of what happens with some of these firms' valuations.
As you
Okay.
envisioned the freedom dividend, there was no means testing. Everybody gets a check, whatever that amount might be. What becomes of other federal assistance?
Well, I intended the freedom dividend to try and clear up and clean up some of the bureaucracy and administration that's currently being applied. I spoke to a disabled woman in Iowa during the campaign, and she said she wants to volunteer in her community, but she's afraid to because she's afraid to lose her disability payments. And I think most people looking at that situation would say, well, that's not right. Like, the intention is not to force this woman to stay home. So if you can put this into people's hands and say, look, this is going to be yours regardless, then it empowers them to go out and hopefully build things, start businesses, and
Yeah.
participate in their community. Capitalism does not work very well if
I'm
people
be
don't.
honest, that's actually honestly, that's a good vision as well. Let's be real. It could take up all the manual labor and leave us to start businesses. I mean, YouTube platforms and all this good stuff. Like, leave us to do other things like entrepreneurial stuff. Because that's the one thing that, well, AI doesn't really handle. AI, it can help you with your entrepreneurial endeavor, but AI just won't make a product out of nowhere. AI won't make a business idea out of nowhere, at least not yet. At least not yet. So far, hey, they still need to be prompted, and we're the prompter.
Have money to spend.
So is this capitalism that we're talking about? It sounds rather socialist, doesn't it? That
Yep.
everybody's going to get a check and therefore they won't have to go to work.
I mean, it's going to be socialist in terms of the universal income, but that's just being fair. It's going to be capitalist on the terms of, well, all right, well, since you don't got to work, you better go start a business if you want anything extra. Because I don't know, don't ask me why I think this, but I don't think it'd be too healthy just to give Americans all the money they need and they don't ever got to improve or have to work hard for it. I think we should give them just enough, for their family and their needs. And if they want anything more, they should go out and start a business for it or get a product. If not, then you'll get this universal income. You'll have enough to, maybe do a vacation every 2 years with you, your 3 kids, your wife, your nice little house in the suburb somewhere, set you up nice. But you're going to have to work for extra. You're going to have to work extra if you want to be on a yacht with the baddies. All right, let's keep it going.
Because all these jobs are being taken by AI initially.
It's capitalism where income doesn't start at zero, Michael, and you have a consumer economy that is predicated on folks being able to participate. And if you shove millions of Americans to the curb via AI and automation, then they're not going to be able to go to their local business. They're not going to be able to meaningfully grow the economy. They're going to stay at home. They're going to end up going down internet rabbit holes and getting radicalized in many cases. So that's a loss. And so if we can get people connected in various ways, that's the direction we should go. And I'm not someone who thinks that this money is the silver bullet that's going to do the trick. I mean, you still have to convey structure, purpose, fulfillment, community, all of the rest of it. That jobs.
That's the tough part. It's going to be the fulfillment part, the structure part. I don't know. It's going to be the fulfillment and discipline that we be missing from, losing the labor. I ain't gonna lie. Labor is like going out there in the workforce is what matured a lot of us. So losing that is going to be kind of hard to project how our kids are going to be raised. Like I said, unless you just want to, I don't know, throw their ass out on the farm with the AI robots.
Traditionally have provided.
Andrew, a final question. There's an academic in the on deck circle, and I'll bet you've read the stories. It's Dr. Yampolsky who's been quoted as saying that he thinks in 5 years we'll have 99% unemployment. I'll see in a moment whether he's going to stand by that prediction. How bad does Andrew Yang think it will get undeterred?
No, it's going to get bad. I certainly don't think 99% bad, but if you use this 44% of jobs subject to automation as a benchmark, and then you figure that we're going to churn through, let's say, half of those jobs over the next 10 years or so, that puts you at 30 to 40 million jobs that get eliminated. And that would be devastating. That would be catastrophic for many, many communities. And I think that's a realistic place to think we're going to be heading.
Andrew Yang, thank you for being here. Perfect guest on this day.
Thanks for having
And all right. I mean, shout out to Andrew Yang. He explained it pretty well. All right, now let's go ahead and move on into Venezuela, and then we're gonna go ahead and get into why people don't want mass migration in America, rightfully so. All right.
New tonight, the Trump administration is increasing pressure on Venezuela and its leader, Nicolas Maduro. President Trump saying on social media airlines should consider the airspace over the country closed in its entirety.
Damn.
Trump this week designated Maduro as
AKA, I mean, bro, bombing incoming any day now.
his allies as members of a foreign terrorist organization, and also suggested that land strikes could be imminent. CNN contributor Stefano Pozzebon is joining us now from Caracas. Stefano, how is the Venezuelan government reacting to this post today from the U.S. president?
Well, Jessica, we haven't heard directly from Nicolas Maduro, and that is quite telling me. Let me tell you that. Before we do a little bit of analysis, we do have, however, a statement from the Venezuelan government saying, in the words of their defense minister, Vladimir Padrino Lopez, that no external power has any faculty to interfere, block, or...